Greetings, Summit Academy family. Once again, this is Mr. Wisniewski. Hope you all had a restful and relaxing break because by my date now, I'm not sure, once people watch this years down the road, it is April 14th, 2020, and we have been back from break now, our day two, come back from break. And I'm just kind of going to show you some fun, old school, but effective ways of doing some math. So in this round, we are going to focus on multiplication, if you will. Multiplication is one of those fun things, that and division. Now, usually addition and subtraction are pretty much well set. People do fairly well with this. But when it comes to multiplication, especially when we have multiple digit numbers, people seem to usually kind of get their head scratching a little bit. So what we're going to look at is 2 by 2 and 3 by 3 for today, okay? And then I'm going to post another video here right after looking at long division, because once again, it's kind of another skill that's like, So let's look at this first round here. Multiplication, in this case, 2 by 2s. One of the most common 2 by 2s we see here is 10 times 10, right? And it's one of those kind of facts that we would see, we go, oh, that's 100. We see other ones that are maybe 11 times 11, 12 times 12, 10 times 11, things like that, So if you're doing any multiplication skills, usually goes ranging from 0 to 12. So sometimes we've already had practice with 2 by 2s. But what happens if we have, let's say, 96 times 45? Okay, now it's getting a little bit trickier because, well, at the same time, we can't do this quickly in our heads, right? Sometimes we're going to have to write it down on paper. Now, I have chosen grid paper because grid paper, in this sense, is more visual, more visually appealing, if you will. So that way, when you're handling these things, sometimes people can write it on regular line paper or blank paper, but using the grids, as you'll see, kind of helps us line the numbers up well. I find that when we do long multiplication or long division, sometimes if you don't line the numbers up correctly, sometimes it will then result in the incorrect answer. So when we have these, we always start with this number down here, the bottom right. In this case, the 5. We'll focus on the bottom numbers really when we're going through this, but we're going to focus on the bottom right first. So you're going to focus on this 5 times 6 and this 9 times 5. Okay, so let's start off here, 5 times 6. Well, 5 times 6 will give me 30. Now, I can't write 30 down here because that's just not how we do it, okay? I can't put the 10 digit in. I can only put the 1 digit in. In that case, it's the 0. Now, my 10 digit will go right above the top here, okay, right above the 9. So then when you focus next, you would say 9 times 5, that gives you 45. But when we add 3 more to that, I actually end up getting 48. And at that point, I can put in that 10 digit there because that's the end. I have nothing else to worry about after that. Now, as you're going to see later with our 3 by 3s, I would have to then end up putting that 8 down there and the 4 up there. But since we have nothing else left, we can put that as is. Now, one final thing we got to look at is putting in this 0 at the bottom. And you're going to see here, by putting the 0 at the bottom, it's going to give us the opportunity to then extend it out because we are multiplying basically this times this, we're going to get a bigger number, right? We can't just put these two in there and then say this is like 1,000 something. That's just, it wouldn't make any sense. And I'll show you that in a minute. So we put our 0 down here next at our digit down below. And then I focus now on the 4. So 4 times 6, and then 4 times 9. And if you want, you can either just kind of cross this part out or erase it if that helps you. So 4 times 6 is going to give me 24. So there's a 4 right there. 2 goes at the top there. And then I focus on the 4 times 9. 4 times 9 gives me 36. And then I have to add 2 more to that. 36 plus 2 is 38. Okay. So I got this part done first. I got this next part done. Now, when you have these ready to go and they're all lined up correctly, we now add them up. 0 plus 0 gives me 0. 8 plus 4, that gives me 12. So I put my 1 digit here, my 10 digit right there. 4 plus 8, once again, it gives me 12, but I have 1 up here, so that's 13. Put my 10's digit there. 3 plus 1 is 4. So you get a final answer of 4,320. Now, what I was trying to mention before is, well, how would you know that that's correct? Well, one way to look at it is by estimating the answer here. So if I take 96 and I rounded that up, I actually end up getting 100. And then if I take 45, I round that, I get 50. So then one of the fun tricks with this guy is just bring your zeros down. You have 3 of them. 1 times 5 is 5. So an estimated answer would be 5,000. Now, we have an answer of 4,320, but that is pretty much in a ballpark range of our final answer there. So it makes sense that way. Another way we can look at it would be saying 90 times 40 if you want. Again, bring my 2 zeros in. Well, 9 times 4 gives me 36, so 3,600. Again, having an answer that's between this 3,600 and this 5,000, and we do, for our actual answer here, kind of gives us that route. Now this route, again, this is just the estimation route, okay? So we estimate, okay? And why I would do estimating is sometimes if you get to your final answer, you're not 100% sure, is this right? You can always estimate and see, am I in the right ballpark? And of course, obviously, there are calculators on your phone. We promised growing up that you would never have a calculator in your pocket, and that was probably one of the biggest fallacies because you do. But that, once again, is multiplying a 2 by 2 digit. Usually fairly more easier than what we're about to tackle next, okay? But let me just erase really quick. So I hope you're all doing very well. I know it's kind of a different time. The original, before the extension, the original date to come back would have been yesterday, but when the governor ordered the stay-at-home extend till May 1st, well, we basically have to go this route until May 1st, but okay, because we can still do virtual learning, and yours truly will be at the helm here to do as best as he can, just to make sure we're doing all right. Okay, so with this being said, we are now going to look at a 3 by 3. And don't get too worried about it because, again, it's just like the 2 by 2, just with one little extra step, okay? So let's take a number, let's say 375 times, 156. Okay. So just like before, we're going to look to the most bottom right, okay, this 6. And instead of doing it 2 times, we're actually going to get this 3 times. So 6 times 5, 6 times 7, and 6 times 3. So we got to start off with 6 times 5 because it's closer. So 6 times 5, okay, 30. So my 1's digit goes down there, 10's goes up there. 7 times 6 Well, that'll give me 42. 42 plus 3 gives me 45. Put my 4 up there. 3 times 6, that gives me 18. 18 plus 4, 22. And again, now I can put 22 down there now because, again, there's nothing after that. So, just like before, I would put my 0 right down below. And then I'm going to focus on the 5 next, okay? So 5 times 5, 5 times 7, and 5 times 3. And again, if you want, you can visually just cross these out. That way it doesn't confuse you, or you can simply erase them. So I'm going to get 5 times 5, which is 25. 5 goes down there. 2 goes up there. 5 times 7, well, that gives me 35 plus 2. That's 37. Bring my 3 up there. 3 times 5, which is 15. Plus 3 more is 18. So I get 18 there. All right. Now, we aren't done just yet because we still have this one to worry about, okay? But how I'm going to do this next line below, I actually have to put in 2 zeros. Notice here's a fun pattern if you think about it. This was in the singles digits, so that goes there. This is part of the tens digit, so you put that to go there to then start in the tens place. This is in the hundredths digit, so it's actually our lines are actually going to start in the hundredths digit. Pretty much primarily that's the reason why we do it, because we know that this is in the hundredths place, so we start in our hundredths place. This is our tens, so we started in our tens. That was in our singles, our ones digit, so we started there. So it's pretty interesting. And if you're not familiar with digit place values, again, just a quick HTO. Hundreds, tens, ones. So when I say 156, right, and our answer there, it's a bad 6. Okay, 150, so times 6 in the ones. Okay, so just kind of a quick recap. Sometimes, it's easy to forget things if we don't, keep practicing them a lot. That's why we come back to the skill. All right. Well, the nice part about this next round is that we're multiplying this by 1. Sometimes it will never be as easy. Sometimes we may have to multiply by a higher digit, which will then make us have to extend out our number over to here. But we got really, really lucky this route. We don't have to worry about that. And I'll show you. So 1 times 5, 5. 1 times 7, 7. 1 times 3, 3. Again, we didn't have to do any borrowing. We had to do no place value. We had to do nothing about the tens, ones, nothing like that. We didn't worry about that. We just went right through, no problem. So like I said, if this was a higher digit value, we may have ended up needing to then write a number like, 23 or something down below that would extend it out to there, but we didn't have to. But just like before, we're going to add it all up. And this time around, we have to add up 3 parts total. All right, so these first, we're going to always start from the right and work our way to the left. 0 plus 0 plus 0 will give me 0. 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 plus 0 is still 10, so I'm going to put my 0 down here, and 1 at the top. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 7 is 10. 10 plus 5 is 15, so 5 goes down there, 1 goes up here. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. So I put my 8 up there, and I put my 1 there. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 3, 5. So my final answer would be 58,500. So once again, when we do, especially 3 by 3s, making sure that we are multiplying correctly, putting the single digit where they need to belong, putting the 10 digit where it belongs at the proper moment, and making sure we're adding correctly. That is pretty much the primary biggest common factor mistake that people will have when they do this. Because if anything in here ends up being off, even by just one single digit, like if I accidentally miscounted and I said that this was 19, look at what would have happened. This would have been wrong in the end. I would have gotten this part right, but in the end, this part would have been wrong overall. So just being off by one single digit can ruin the whole thing. So we gotta try our best to make sure we're just double, triple, quadruple checking our work at times to make sure that we're doing well. Okay, so in a nutshell, once again, some retro style talking mathematics here, but still very important at the same time because it's a skill that we need to making sure that we improve upon because sometimes we may not have a calculator in our hands and we need to know how to do something like this. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you in a little bit to talk about some long division. All right, take care. Oh, sorry about that, folks.